shows upwards of 30,000 people have switched party affiliation from the GOP since the first of the year. In Pennsylvania, for example, the Secretary of State's office notes 10,000 people have dropped out of the Republican Party, though only a fraction of those are declaring themselves as Democrats. By contrast, about 3,000 people in Pennsylvania have also left the Democratic Party. And elections experts also note that the number of voters switching parties overall is small, and that prior to the election that more people across the country registered as Republicans than Democrats. Jeff Monosso, Fox News.
With bitter cold in many parts of the nation, animal friends are again reminding us to keep our pets in mind.
The ASPCA's issued a warning. If it's too cold for you, it's probably too cold for your pet. The charity put out a list of tips on keeping your animal safe, like leashing your dog when it snows. Dogs get lost more frequently when snow piles up because they just can't sniff their way around with their noses like they usually do. Don't shave your pets during cold spells. Longer fur just keeps them warmer. And outdoor cats often look for shelter under cars. So the ASPCA is asking you to bang loudly on the hood before.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
My fellow sheep, election season is upon us. Are you one of the 12% of Americans who still approves of our government? Then we need your help to force the other 88% into compliance. Our democracy depends on it. We're an organization called Citizens Against Too Much Unfettered Freedom, or CATMUF. CATMUF is a bipartisan flock of sheep whose goal is expanding government until nothing else remains. Because the government is here to help you. How can you help CATMUF help you? By only voting for candidates dedicated to expanding government. It's easy. You don't need to study the issues. No matter what a politician says when running for office, they're all dedicated to expanding government. And make sure you tell all your friends and family to vote for more government. Here at CATMUF, we don't care if you vote Democrat or Republican, as long as you vote for candidates committed to growing our federal family. CATMUF, because folks just aren't smart enough to handle real freedom.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, what the heck's going on? I'm not really sure. How did I get in this seat on a Saturday?
What's happening?
Who are you?
Where are we?
What are we doing? Well, it is the Saturday night's edition of Free Talk Live. Our telephone number, if you would like to join in the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. And you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind. In the studio tonight, it is myself, your host, the Dr. Lord Reverend Captain Kickass. And joining me, it's...
Peakless Mountaineer.
That's right, Peakless Mountaineer. For those of you who aren't used to hearing him, he's on every other Sunday or something. No, every Sunday?
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday, and then occasionally whenever, we need a fill-in or whatever. And that is the case this evening. I kicked Ian out of the studio. I was like, dude, you need a vacation. You need a break. And it turns out he actually has some business to do, so he's going to go do that. But, I kicked him out, and he was like, well, who's going to replace, if you're replacing me, who's going to replace you? I'm like, how about Peakless Mountaineer?
Well, to be fair, Ian is irreplaceable.
That is true.
But I will do a stand-in.
I'll do stand-up.
Hey,
Hey,
sounds like a good place for it. Can you, in fact, do stand-up while sitting down?
I believe that I can, but it's just a belief at this point.
Well, it's that kind of optimism we hire you for.
So our lead story for tonight, the name of the program, Arrested for Memes. Now, this is an interesting topic that keeps coming around where folks seem to be being persecuted for sharing memes in one way or another, whether it's by law or by the actual social media platform on which they share these memes. In this case, a Florida man, believe it or not. Why is it always a Florida man?
Well, two reasons. Number one, because it's actually a relatively free state. And number two, because they have this weird habit of actually broadcasting their police radio. So people can just pick that up. And if it's a slow news day, they go, well, this is a fun story.
The phrase, a Florida man, is so popular that a friend of mine in Seattle either is or was in a band called Florida Man.
Nice.
And so, of course, they would hashtag all of their stuff Florida Man or a Florida Man. And whenever the news would pick up something about a Florida man, they would get free press out of it.
Nice.
Which was, I thought it was brilliant.
It is brilliant, although I am going to blame them for everything now.
Well, and I already have.
What did you do to that gator? Was that necessary for your music? Really?
So this from Newsweek on this particular article was from January 27th, so a couple of days ago. A Florida man arrested Wednesday is accused of using social media platforms to mislead voters ahead of the 2016 presidential race between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
So it wasn't Russian bots after all, it was this guy.
So, 8 years later or whatever. 4 years.
Well,
Wait, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 5 years later?
Well,
it was ahead of the 16 race, so the campaign started it. Yeah, okay.
yeah. Never let it be said that our overlords are not arbitrary and vengeful.
Never let it be said that I'm good at math.
37 years ago.
37?
Is that the wrong number?
That's a reference to a movie known as Clerks.
Well, I had forgotten
37? Yeah. The article goes on. Douglas Mackey, a 31-year-old social media influencer. I've never seen that as a job title pop up on any of the job searches, right? Yes, we're looking for a social media influencer.
I don't think anyone's ever gotten that back from the guidance counselor.
Yeah. When you grow up, you're going to be a social media influencer. Anyway, Douglas Mackey, a 31-year-old social media influencer who operated under the online alias Ricky Vaughn. That doesn't seem very poignant or,
Now, is it Vaughn with like a silent G and an A?
It's the GH, yeah, V-A-U-G-H-N, yeah, Vaughn.
Because otherwise I'd be Vaughn what?
He was charged with conspiring to spread disinformation designed to, quote, deprive individuals of their constitutional right to vote, unquote.
And here I thought that you'd need to do something a little bit more drastic than memeing to take people's votes away.
There is no place in public discourse for lies and misinformation to defraud citizens of their right to vote.
Well, that's
Seth
just not true at all.
Ducharme, the acting U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of New York, said in a statement. Mackey was charged by criminal complaint in the Eastern District. According to the Justice Department, he was taken into custody Wednesday and made a court appearance before U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart in the Southern District of Florida. So that's a whole bunch of words that really don't tell you anything. Prosecutors say the disinformation campaign launched by Mackey and other individuals, quote, often took the form of memes, unquote. Some of the memes altered images of celebrities to falsely suggest they were supporting one candidate over the other. So if I took like a picture of, insert famous person here, Sylvester Stallone, and I drew like a word bubble that said, vote Bernie. Apparently I can get arrested for that.
Wow. That is just astonishing.
Based on this paragraph, anyway. While the criminal complaint did not explicitly name the candidates referenced in each meme, Mackey was revealed to be an avid Trump supporter and well-known figure in the, quote, alt-right, unquote, movement by the Huffington Post in 2018.
Excuse me, you are using appeal to authority for your ends and not ours. That is clearly illegal.
Indeed. The group also pushed out the Draft Our Daughters meme, which falsely claimed Clinton supported making women eligible for the draft. Did it falsely claim that? I mean, didn't Clinton kind of support that?
Not that I recall. Although that is an interesting bit of sexism. That I mean, the reason that the voting age was lowered to 18 was because that's where the draft age was.
Right.
And yet, when universal what's that word? Suffrage. When universal suffrage was enacted, they didn't expand the drafting.
The only draft that I'm interested in is DRAUGHT, as in a freshly poured beer. That's the only draft I'm interested in.
Well, if by interested you mean horrified, then I am definitely interested in the draft.
Oh. No, I don't mean horrified.
Oh.
No, I mean interested. Like,
oh.
You know.
As in desirable.
Like, hey, man, we're having a draft. Great, pour me one. Instead of, hey, man, we're having a draft. Oh, crap, I'm moving to Canada. Stark contrast. The group also, as the election drew nearer, Mackey and his co-conspirators allegedly urged people to cast their ballots through invalid means. They claimed a person could vote for a major party candidate by sending text messages or using certain hashtags on social media.
Now, this is one thing that I've always has always kind of surprised me, that so there are all of these things that you're supposed to be able to do through government, but there's like no efficient system whatsoever for figuring out like what you can do, how to do it. And I think that this is a fair comeuppance for making the system so, what's the opposite of transparent? Obscure?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Translucent? No.
That's halfway there.
Opaque?
Opaque, yeah. For making such a completely opaque system for how we're, it's your responsibility to figure out how to do these things that it's impossible to find out.
This says they claimed a person could vote for a major party candidate by sending text messages or using certain hashtags on social media. Assumably, they did this by using memes. This reminds me of the memes that, say stuff like, hey, pour sugar in your gas tank for some extra octane while you're driving down the road. That kind of a thing, right?
Did you know that motor oil can be used to kill weeds?
Drinking antifreeze is good for your dog. It reminds me of that. 603-283-6160. Should you be arrested for memeing? More coming up.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, the number 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. We'll get to some of your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the captain, joining me.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And we've been talking about this article from Newsweek where Mr. Mackey has been accused of some sort of, trying to tilt the election.
Memeing without a license.
Yeah, memeing without, government permission, or at least with great government dislike.
He did not seek the permission of the great corporate overlords before speaking his mind.
In one example highlighted by the Department of Justice days before the election, Mackey allegedly tweeted a picture of a black woman standing in front of a sign for an unnamed candidate with a caption that read, "Avoid the line, vote from home."
Well, and as I recall, you actually could vote from home.
Absentee ballots are a thing. So
I mean, at least that one you'd think you'd get off scot-free from.
This does say days before the election, so I assume your absentee ballot needs to be in a week before, if there's some stipulation of the...
I thought it was as long as it was postmarked, but
yeah,
I didn't really pay that much attention to that side of things.
Yeah. I mean, the system is so ugly that I just discount, all of it. So, pardon me for not having the details on absentee voting, but I'm a non-participator in the process known as voting, particularly for the presidential election, because I have so many better things that I could be doing with my time.
I'm the next best thing to a non-participator. I voted third party.
Indeed. That is the next best thing. So we'll talk more about this guy who was arrested for memeing here in a bit. But first, let's go to Dustin, who's calling from Kansas. Dustin, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, good day, radio guys. I was hoping to explain to Ian's statement, the Tea Party isn't over. The 3 letters, meaning taxed enough already. The community asked for new laws for the Tea Party, and given a vocal consent, the Associated Press, my cops to courts, and my community, Salina, Kansas, continues to hear from me about the attempts of Tea Party if the Associated Press to investigate, but that I'll sacrifice because this government's ruined its representation to its races, its women, and its disabled about its treatment and care.
Well, Dustin, how much taxation is enough, right? If the letter's taxed enough already is what TEA stands for in the party formerly known as the Tea Party, or currently known, depending on your perspective. How much taxation is enough? Because in my mind, any taxation is too much.
It's explaining to Ian that it hasn't been solved, and that to get word out there that if it's not mine to support the best quality that isn't Adolf Hitler or like the new Venezuela, South America, but to advise, to sacrifice, to support the investigation and my explanation, vocal consent to the Associated Press. My cops, the courts keeps on hearing my attempts.
All right, Dustin, let me ask you a question. If the Democrats put up Joseph Stalin as a candidate for president and the Republicans put up Adolf Hitler as a candidate for president, who would you vote for?
Independent party. Independent Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders?
The model.
All right, we appreciate the call, Dustin. Thanks. Is the Tea Party over, Peakless Mountaineer?
Well, I mean, as a movement, it definitely seems to have been over for a while. From what I had heard, because I never really had much direct personal interaction with it, basically the Koch brothers got in there and they're like, hey guys, we really need to go back into the mainstream Republican Party, and that pretty much spelled the end of the Tea Party.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that it was sort of co-opted.
But, I mean, it kind of depends on what exactly you mean, because, those people are still there. And they obviously are not comfortable and happy just being part of the Republican establishment. They're obviously, they are taxed enough already. And they thought that, hey, well, if we just go back into the fold, then we'll get something that would, at least reduce taxes.
Yeah. I mean, the whole phrase taxed enough already seems to sound like, hey, we're good. We're good with the amount of taxation we have. We don't want any more. Right? Well, like we've reached our limits and now we don't want you to tax us anymore. Whereas I'm of the opinion that nobody should be taxed at all and every interaction should be voluntary. If there's an organization that provides something that resembles government services, governance, that is, and they do it for a fair price, and there's competition, and there's a marketplace that I can choose who my provider is, I'm all for that if it's on a voluntary basis, if I get to decide. And if they do a crappy job at whatever product or service they're trying to deliver, why, I have several providers to choose from that I could take my business elsewhere, which I cannot do with the current government.
Well, my suspicion is that they have a variety of different people that can all agree that, okay, at least stop. Like some of I'm entirely certain that some of them are libertarians and they're like, no, taxation is theft. And they're in the Republican Party because, well, what else are you going to do? Be part of the Democratic Party? Be not involved? Be part of what has been an absolute sham in the Libertarian Party? So some of them, I'm sure, are zero taxation people that feel that enough, like myself, feel that enough means, all of the stuff in the past. As in, stop. Like, that is enough taxation. We should be done with it.
That's like a battered wife going, hey, you know what? You already beat me on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't want to be beaten on Sundays, too.
Well, and that's the argument right there is like, well, by enough, do you mean what they've done already or what they're currently doing?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's an argument that they would have if they at least got it to stop at what they're doing already instead of continuously increase.
Did the Tea Party, we'll call it movement, was that the precursor to the Ron Paul revolution? I'm trying to remember the timeline, the chronology there.
I don't remember the timeline on that one.
I don't either.
I think it was after the 2008 run, which was really the big push.
Yeah.
So
okay, so maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was where a lot of the Ron Paul people went after the 2008 one.
Because I remember being at a place with some people and talking about my position on things, called government. And they're like, oh, I suppose you're one of those Tea Partiers, huh? And I'm like, well, I, don't like to miss a good party. Is there booze? Or,
I definitely would be on one of those old school Tea Partiers. Boston way.
Boston?
Yeah.
You park your car around the corner?
Yeah, as in, hey, this is a thing you tax. Let's just throw it away.
This music reminds me of like a newscast. 6032836160 is our phone number if you'd like to join us. More on the way. This is Free Talk Live.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin. And, all right, I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
I just heard the best sales pitch I've heard in a long time on an airplane. The flight attendant announced, if you paid more than $75 for your round-trip ticket, you overpaid. This is brilliant because everybody on the flight paid more, and I was struck by how all the road warriors stopped typing and reading and working and looked up. The announcement invited us to apply for the airline's credit card, and the sign-up bonus, enough frequent flyer miles for a free round trip. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. With some banks offering free credit cards, $75 is an outrage for an annual fee, but a bargain for airline tickets. For more tips on communicating more effectively, hit survivalspeech.com, where you can see how I got the CEO of another major airline to shower me with freebies. I'm Holland Cook.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
Good evening, Mark and Ian.
Hey, it's Scott the Bigot. What's on your mind tonight, Scott?
I know that America is in dire straits
And I know that the whole rotten Zionist-occupied government is going to collapse very soon.
When was the last time you went out and socialized with other human beings?
I get the pulse of the people, and I get the pulse of what's going on in this country.
How can you get the pulse of anything if you're cloistered within your apartment?
I know what's going on.
I mean, are you even getting out amongst other white separatists?
Yeah, wait, in a minute.
Is that your mom?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, listen, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I want it now.
So, gentlemen.
Who is that?
Yeah, you go loud.
Wait, is that your mother?
Yeah, I take care of her.
How old are you, by the way?
49.
Is your mom as bigoted and nasty towards other human beings as you are?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It is Free Talk Live. It is the Saturday night edition. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the host, the Reverend, the Captain, Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me,
Peakless Mountaineer,
as I almost spill my very heavily capped beverage.
And joining me, Broken Equipment.
If you've ever been in a studio or worked in a studio or ever plan or ever even just sort of randomly find yourself in a studio, make sure to have your beverages tightly capped. That is all I have to say about that particular thing, because I have had a liquid mishap in a professional recording studio once in my life. Fortunately for me, when this particular liquid mishap happened, there was also we'll call it the sliding glass door incident that happened. In most recording studios, when they have a sliding glass door, they have like a piece of tape going across it, just so that, because, the glass gets cleaned. They got cleaning people that come in and clean. So and sometimes they dim the lights for mood, right? You want to create a hit record, you got to set the mood, man, right? So people have walked through.
Yeah, so that you don't do a very good impression of a pigeon.
Yeah, and so a guy that I was, I was the assistant audio engineer for this particular session, and I was working with this guy, and he was in the piano room, which has a large sliding glass door that was not taped, and the lighting was low, and the mood was definitely set, and he proceeded to walk into, not quite through the door, but enough that the door shattered. So my liquid mishap was certainly overlooked by the deconstruction of the sliding glass door to the piano room.
Well, that's a nice combination of bad and good luck.
Yeah, but I digress. We'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a minute. I wanted to tell you that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find a cornucopia of information neatly organized by your needs. There's no longer an excuse for ignorance of this important world-changing information. If you are knowledgeable about crypto and you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all of the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com. All right, let's go to the phones. The phones are packed, all two lines. Wait, how do I do this again? Oh, yeah, there it is. I press a button. That's what it is. Hey, Van, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm good. Van is calling from Florida today. Van, what's on your mind?
No, I'm in South Carolina. I lived in Florida for 25 years. I am a Floridian, basically. And the way you guys started the show made me laugh a lot. And Florida is
a
great,
Florida man.
But I had to move because it got real expensive in Sarasota where I lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, though, what was I going to say, man? Oh, yeah. You're right. You libertarians, man, you got to rock more. I'm a convicted felon. I can't vote, but I mean, this president we got now, I'm not, he's a dumbass. And the taxing is just going to get outrageous. And I have grandchildren.
Yep.
And I'm concerned, man. And with more guys like you, I mean, it's refreshing to hear you all because you make me laugh. But man, it's time to get serious and get some libertarians in there that, you hear what I'm saying?
I do, brother. I can't believe that, people say, well, federal income tax is only roughly, 20% of your income or whatever. But no, yes, that is true in a mathematical sense. But if you take a look at all of the things that you buy, all of the purchases that you make, and all of the taxes involved with that, if you take a look at the way the federal government interacts with the Federal Reserve to inflate the dollar supply, that's a hidden tax. There's all sorts of taxation going on that amounts to probably more than 50% of the average person in the United States income. 50%, half.
I know, man.
And this is one of the greatest ironies of the fact that, okay, all of the taxed enough already people are a big part of why Trump got in. Well, he had the 2 largest spending bills in human history. So, I mean, that doesn't look like a tax,
You're right.
but it sure feels like it.
Hey, Van, how do you feel about the, 30 or so executive orders, signed by President Biden?
That's insane, man. I don't know. I don't want to get uptight about politics, but I'm uptight. Because my grandsons. I mean, I might kick it in a few years. I just, where are they going to grow up?
Well, the thing about
New
politics,
Hampshire's cold,
no option.
man.
Yeah.
They're in Virginia. I'm in South Carolina. But anyway, yeah, it's insane. No, and I work under the table, and I have for years.
Oh, good for you.
And because I don't. Man, the tax. You're right.
You are part of the solution.
When you go to the grocery, what are all these taxes? Oh, you don't tax the food, but you tax the tissues. What? I don't understand. Look, I'm ranting a little bit, but you guys really refresh me, and thanks a lot. And libertarian, I am a libertarian. But I do believe, we need people to work on roads and stuff, and people to govern that kind of stuff.
So
and,
I came up with a real
there.
simple.
You need someone to, keep sick people and mad people away. But
yeah,
man, it can work out. It's so wonderful if you really.
So when's the last time you saw a pothole?
Rand Paul, his son. He's the only one who stands up.
Hey, Van Peekless wants to. Hey, Van.
Son, he did stand up last week.
Hey, Van Peekless wants to ask you a question.
Man, so just, you mentioned the roads, and I got to ask you, when's the last time you saw a pothole in a parking lot?
In a parking lot? There's one across the street.
Oh, man, that's
terrible.
terrible.
There's one on my street, like right at the stop sign.
I can't remember. No, in the parking lot.
Right,
in the parking lot.
But I never see potholes in parking lots, privately owned parking lots. I never see potholes.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They fix them quick.
Exactly. So why don't we have the people who are building the parking lots build the roads? Because they need the roads.
Yeah.
They want you to come to their business.
Hey, Van, thanks for the call. We appreciate you. Thanks for being a listener, too. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't ever see a pothole in the grocery store parking lot, the hardware store, the drugstore, how about even the fast food places, right? Now that, they've closed all the bars and restaurants unless, you dance a jig on 3rd Avenue with a banana in your ear while wearing 17 masks or whatever, right? That kind of a thing. I never see potholes in, restaurant parking lots.
Right. Why would you give that advantage to your competition?
Right.
Well, and I did want to say 2 quick things to what Van had spoken about. So he really briefly mentioned Rand Paul, and Rand Paul just had an outstanding performance. Because what they usually do on the news is when they want to make fun of one side's position on something, they'll have 2 people on a panel, and the so-called moderator will very clearly be on one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So people go, oh, well, the ref is obviously in this person's corner.
Right.
Klobuchar had some technical issues, so it was just him and the ABC guy. And he just did an amazing job of pointing out the absolute hypocrisy of saying you are not reporting the news, you are inserting yourself into the story.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was an amazing one. If anyone wants to look that one up. And as for like we need some libertarians in there, well, it's a real possibility because I mean the Republican Party's fractured and the Libertarian Party is moving in a good direction. So maybe
I prefer the no party as far as politics is concerned because I just want to party of my own volition.
Be nice if no one got in the way.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live. More of your calls are coming up.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. That's right. You are in the right place. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. It is the Saturday Night Live edition. Not to be confused with Saturday Night Live. Live from Keene, New Hampshire. It's Saturday night. Anyway, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me, it's
Bigless Mountaineer.
Our telephone number, should you wish to join in the conversation, because this is, after all, a live call-in radio talk program. It is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160.
Everything you're hearing now is happening now.
It is. Well, it's actually probably...
Unless you're getting a rebroadcast.
No, it probably happened 7 seconds ago. Right. Whatever I'm saying now, by the time it hits the listener's ears, it's got that 7-second radio delay.
I was trying to make a Spaceballs reference there.
Oh.
What am I looking at? Now, sir, you're looking at now. Everything that's happening now is happening now.
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. All right, well, let us not delay any further. Let us go to Doug in Illinois. Doug, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, pretty much what I wanted to find out can be your opinion on the future of the country within maybe about a 5-year period, if not more. I mean, there are people that are predicting that, that the country will end up being broken up, or that if we continue, it'll end up like, 1984 George Orwell. And I mean, I'm a nonviolent guy. I'm a Ron Paul Rothbard libertarian.
Gotcha. But
I mean, we've had the whole, half the year here of the left rioting with Antifa. Now we got the right getting worked up. They rioted at the Capitol. The government, man, they provoke everybody, like what they did down here with the guy with Florida. They are the problem. And again, I'm nonviolent. I don't think that being violent and rioting can help anybody. But I mean, I think that the people in government should take a little bit of look at human behavior and what they're doing. For the fact that, they had an FBI lawyer who faked an email document. And I don't know if you heard about that, but he ended up getting tried and convicted. But he didn't even do jail time. He did not even do jail time. And that can be a continual thing with people in government. If you have more authority, you should really have the book thrown at you. People in government should have more accountability. But rather it be that way, we common people, I've never been in trouble with the law, but I can tell that common people have the book thrown at them all the time. The government, they're harsh with them. But people in government.
Yep. Agree wholeheartedly. My prediction, I don't know, for the next 5 years, let's see. It's not going to get better. I don't think we are going to see all of a sudden government rolling back things like, these business shutdowns, the COVID mandates, all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's going to end. I think it's going to be perpetual. I can't remember a time in history where government has taken away people's rights and ever given them back after a period of time. The only time it's ever happened that I can think of that somebody brought up as an example would be like prohibition, but that's not even accurate because they didn't give you your rights back. What they did is they just heavily legislated it from there on out. So instead of me being free to, brew beer or, have a still in my backyard and, do as I see fit with that, they were like, no. Only licensed people can have, only people who've paid for the privilege can do that. And so, my prediction for the next 5 years, it's not going to get better. The dollar is going to continue to deflate in value. We're going to continue to see more government overreach, the likes of which the planet Earth has probably never seen. You mentioned George Orwell. We are already living in a George Orwell dystopian nightmare. There are cameras literally everywhere, all of them accessible by the government. We carry around tracking devices on the magic rectangles in our pockets.
Even Orwell never imagined the possibility that we would not only carry around Big Brother in our pockets, but we would pay for the privilege to do so.
Right. So that's kind of.
I hear about the guy in Florida, like you were mentioning, and when you were a commercial, I went ahead and I looked it up, and it could be like, man, I'm like, the government, are they that dumb? Do they not know human behavior? Do they not? Are they trying to provoke people into a reaction?
Yes.
That guy had a lot of people that were following him on Twitter, a lot of right-wing people, and they're going to hear about that. And do they not think?
Oh, they are.
They will
that's
ratchet
the plan.
up the anger level. You know?
That's the plan. So here's the thing. It is not certain, but it is very probable that we have a very major conflict ahead of us. Now, this conflict can be one of two things. Now, it can be a horizontal conflict of the left against the right, essentially some kind of a race war. That is what they want. That is what they're trying to provoke, and they're doing everything in their power to do. Now, it could, on the other hand, be a vertical conflict of us against these powers that are manipulating us and taking away everything we love. That's still possible. So, I mean, you asked, what's the prediction? And the answer is, it depends on what you do. So, I mean, some of these things are definitely going to happen. The destruction of the U.S. dollar is absolutely occurring. We are in the middle of it. It is going to continue. Now, what will replace it? It could be the central bank digital currency, or it could be cryptocurrency. And that's up to you. That's your call.
I watched them people that did like the prepping all the time, and I remember laughing at them. I remember watching them on TV and laughing at them, thinking that they were all foolish. And now it can be like, you know, with everything going on, I'm in the Chicagoland area, and I want to get moved out to the country. I want out of Illinois, and I want moved further out to the fact that if people are going to get violent, if the government, they're going to try to fight the people, I don't want to be in the middle of it. And I don't want to be anywhere near it. You know?
Tell you what I'd do.
Yeah.
I'd move over to New Hampshire.
Well, I just want to say,
you're a Rothbardian libertarian in Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, the three biggest states to move from right now are New York, California, and Illinois.
Yeah. I want to say, too, Doug, thank you for being man enough to say what you did about the preppers, because there are a lot of people out there who feel the same way. And you've not only been able to, identify, hey, maybe I should start doing some prepping myself because maybe these guys were onto something, but it's never a bad idea to be prepped for a disaster, right? I used to live in the Seattle area. I did prepping. People like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, well, there could be a tsunami, could be a volcano, could be an earthquake, could be government overreaction, So I was prepping for all of these things. It's never a bad idea to be prepared. But thank you for being man enough to, come to that conclusion that perhaps it is time for you to get prepared. And we appreciate your call tonight. Doug had some really good points.
I did want to say that in addition to the whole, really, it depends on what you're doing. We are building history now.
We are.
And this is it, man. This is the game for all of the marbles. If they get the police state with this kind of power, then I don't know if there is a way out of that. But our ability to communicate with each other has never been higher either. So this is the game for it. And I mean, to say a few alternatives, even from the whole COVID lockdown side, well, it's also entirely possible that their game plan is that they will, we've come out with the vaccines, and then they change the way that they're doing the testing procedure so it has a lower something or other threshold, where they run it through 30 or 40 times, they'll bring it down to 20. Oh, look at that! Our vaccine has cured COVID, and Joe is a hero.
They've already done that.
Oh.
They've lowered, immediately, as soon as Biden was elected, they came out with a recommendation for the testers to lower the number of cycles that the PCR tests were done, because they said that the higher number of cycles was giving them too many false positives.
Which it was.
Yeah,
and of course it was. I mean, if you run it through enough times, you will get a positive. So it's entirely possible that we're going to that our economy is going to come back because they'll lift the restrictions because Joe Biden is the big hero, just to double down on the see what a monster Trump was.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to lift the restrictions at all. In fact, I don't remember what the exact number is. It's 30 or 40 executive orders signed by Joe Biden. He's only been in office for, what, a week, 2 weeks, 9-10 days, something like that. So apparently that's more executive orders than all of the last 3 presidents combined that he has signed in his first 10 days. Yeah.
No. It's been about 300 for the last 3 presidencies.
In that first period of time, like the first couple of weeks or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he's got to get stuff done before he mysteriously contracts COVID.
Executive orders
gets replaced by Harris.
Yeah, but executive orders, if for those folks who play the political game, executive orders were supposed to be occasional and only if all the other methods didn't work for getting stuff done. So now it's the main method.
Yeah, and corporations were supposed to be temporary and serve the public good.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Concern over another COVID-19 mutation. I'm Joe Chier on Fox News. A new strain of coronavirus first discovered in South Africa has now been found in Maryland. Health officials say the patient is a man in the Baltimore metro area with no recent history of travel. 2 days ago, South Carolina was the first state to report the mutation. Dr. Anthony Fauci.
A lot different with the South African strain. Much more formidable because the mutations are evading somewhat the ability of the antibodies that the vaccines that we all get to be able to suppress it. So that's a challenge.
Health officials believe the South African variant is 50% more contagious. Johns Hopkins University reports California has surpassed 40,000 coronavirus deaths as cases begin to taper. School districts there struggling to reopen.
The California Teachers Association sending a letter to the governor that says an aggressive plan focused on statewide safety measures and an effective vaccine rollout is needed. Newsom reportedly told told the unions, quote, "If we wait for the perfect, we might as well just pack it up and just be honest with folks that we're not going to open for in-person instruction this school year."
Fox's Christina Coleman. States from the Midwest through the Northeast are under winter storm watches and warnings.
It gets to the East Coast by late on Sunday and then really ramps up Sunday night into Monday morning, becomes a nor'easter. We're going to be seeing snow in New England running you all the way into Tuesday. It's able to drop a whole lot of snow. Now, Chicago area is getting up close to 10 inches, perhaps 6 inches to 10 inches. D.C. getting up over half a foot, 10 inches of snow in Philadelphia, half a foot here in New York City.
Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz. Some parts of the Northeast expecting to get over a foot of snow. America is listening to Fox News.
Amazon Alexa.
Good oral care habits keep you healthy. That means brushing your teeth for 2 minutes twice a day and replacing your bristles every 3 months. Quip, creators of the Quip electric toothbrush, makes it simple with a sleek design you'll want to use every day and timed sonic vibrations to guide your routine. Plus, Quip delivers a fresh brush head, floss refill, and toothpaste every 3 months when you need them. Set start at $25. Get your first refill free at getquip.com/newsbrief.
The city of Chicago is still hoping to negotiate a deal with the teachers union to get students and teachers to return to the classroom. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot made an appeal to teachers.
Tell your leadership to meet us at the table. Let's get a deal done. Let's get it in writing. Because our students' lives are hanging in the balance.
The teachers union says it's not convinced that there are adequate health and safety measures in place to keep teachers and students safe from the COVID-19 virus. A northeastern Kentucky man's accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill his mother. Fox's Chris DeMeo reports.
41-year-old Billy Reynolds is a teacher and school bus driver at West Carter Middle School. Cops say he offered someone $10,000 in the murder-for-hire plot. It's unclear why Reynolds wanted to kill his mom. State police say they had gotten a tip claiming that person had gotten a retainer fee to kill his mother. His uncle says Reynolds is a hard worker and has never been in trouble before. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
A new documentary on the life of Axl Rose premieres on Reels. Fox's Michelle Polino.
Guns N' Roses' Axl Rose takes center stage in a new Reels documentary premiering tonight at 8 Eastern. The 2-hour biopic reveals the iconic frontman's troubled beginnings.
Axl Rose was the definitive self-destructive frontman.
With interviews of those who knew him, the doc.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Our very own Tracy met farmer Ray Kimball, who says that his horse, Franklin, has the ability to speak full sentences.
When did you first realize he could talk?
Well, I'd hear him saying things when I was sleeping, and then I'd go out to the barn and we'd have some real conversations.
Can we talk to Franklin?
He can't wait to meet you. Say hi, Franklin. What's that? That's a good one.
What did he say?
He said, "Who's the pretty lady?"
Aw. Franklin, do you like living on the farm?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Did he say something?
Tracy, you live here now.
I spent a cozy night at Ray's farmhouse in a room he called the altar. I learned that the farmer has a whole lot more on his mind than just a talking horse.
You are my beloved.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
They sometimes they refer to musicians as cats. Like, oh man, that guy's a badass bass player. He is one hell of a cat. Huh. Or he's a studio cat, right? Referring to like a guy who never plays on stage live. He only goes into the studio and like fills in for the drunken bass player of band X during their recording session because he's too drunk to actually play their tunes.
I just noticed that's one cool cat.
There's a parody song, Alice in Chains' "Man in the Box." It's called "Cat in the Box," and it's all meow 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 meow. It's funny. Anyway, this is Free Talk Live. Yes, you are listening to a live call-in radio talk program, despite our tomfoolery. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's me, the captain.
And Peakless Mountaineer.
We have been talking about, well, a whole bunch of things, but we started talking about this article from Newsweek about a Florida man, Mr. Mackey, who apparently has been arrested for memeing.
Dirty, dirty memery.
No, the accusations are something about, his memes were sort of misleading people in the election of 2016.
Well, you see, he made fun of our holy things, and those are not to be joked about.
In one example highlighted by the Department of Justice days before the election, Mackey allegedly tweeted a picture of a black woman standing in front of a sign of an unnamed candidate with a caption that read, "Avoid the line, vote from home." At the time, Mackey had an audience of 58,000 Twitter followers. In February 2016, an analyst from the MIT Media Lab ranked Ricky Vaughn as the 107th most important election influencer, a higher ranking than CNN, 11th, and NBC News, 114th.
Wow.
The Justice Department said that at least 4,900 unique telephone numbers texted a candidate's name to the phone number posted online by Mackey and his co-conspirators around Election Day. I mean, look, I have said repeatedly whenever the elections come up that these television shows like American Idol and that type of thing, The Voice and all these crappy shows where like they have a phone number and you call in to vote. They are a far more efficient voting system than what you have for presidential elections.
They certainly are.
By leaps and bounds, even with the ability for you to call multiple times from multiple numbers, it is still a far more accurate and efficient voting system. Yeah. And they can calculate the results by the time the show is over. It doesn't take them 3 months or whatever it took for them to figure out, how to recount and count again and, validate and, make sure the seals aren't broken on the boxes that contain the ballots and the vote-ins and the mail-ins and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so we go to all of this trouble because that will make it more secure. And no, it didn't. It absolutely made this much less secure to the point that people are like, hey, now, wait a second. You said you had to do this to vote. Like have an address that you put on the form.
How awesome is it that this guy just said, hey, instead of going to the voting booth or mailing in your vote, just text to this number.
Well, and
and people did it.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that's the thing. It is unimaginable how completely backward our government is. I mean, it is so incomprehensibly inefficient that if people go, oh, well, I heard they were changing the voting system this time. So they naturally assumed that they'd do it to something that was convenient so that you would want to include people in the decision-making.
That's not how government works, sir. Peakless, what have you been doing? Have you been bathing in the bath of statism?
Well, that's the myth. And that's what people believe. They believe that their government wants them to have a voice. So naturally, if they're changing the system, they would change it to something where you would have a voice, use some kind of 21st century technology.
Yeah.
Instead of something from the 1800s. No, you've got to mail it in. It's an updated system.
The article continues, William Sweeney Jr., the assistant director of the FBI's New York field office, said in a statement that what Mackey allegedly did, quote, amounted to nothing short of vote theft, unquote. People voluntarily believing something not true and being lazy right? Not verifying something themselves and sending a text to a number going, oh, I guess I voted, right, is not theft.
So, I mean, for one thing, my usual sense of theft is that you don't have it anymore, and I do have it.
Right. Yes. Whatever you had has to have been taken away from you, and, you know, the person who took it now has it.
So, I mean, if you don't have it and I don't have it, I mean, that's not theft. It's destruction or vandalism or whatever it is, but that's not how theft works.
What apparently just this particular maneuver, this whole, hey, here's a number instead of voting, text this. This is just really, if anything, it's an illustration of how dumb people are after having gone to the government's education facilities.
Right? I mean, maybe you should have given us an informed populace, a population of people that are capable of looking up information.
Yeah, but that would be the end of government.
Oh, I know. Yes. Well, and that's what this, you know, that's the theory on this whole system in the first place.
It is illegal behavior and contributes to the erosion of the public's trust in our electoral processes, Sweeney Jr. added. He may have been a powerful social media influencer at the time, but a quick internet search of his name today will reveal an entirely different story.
Oh, yeah. This is what loses public trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, people totally trusted the system before this, but now that they know it's possible that someone will play a prank on them about how voting works, they've lost faith in the voting system. It wasn't the fact even that you didn't just make it work like this. I mean, obviously people can imagine that it works like this.
Newsweek apparently reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York for additional comment, but did not hear back before publication.
Aww.
Weird. Huh. Yeah. So this guy did the equivalent of pulling a prank, right? You know, it's like, I don't know, your kid brother gets a car for the first time. You're like, don't forget to check the muffler fluid. Now, for those of you,
are eroding faith in the working of vehicles.
You are eroding faith in the automotive industry. You are stealing that from other people.
You are stealing conveyance.
This is one of the most ridiculous things I think I've ever
And here's
seen.
the truth of the matter. The establishment hates memes. They despise them because the establishment, by definition, has no sense of humor.
Is that why I love them so much? I love memes. I've created a few, not many, but a few, and they've gotten some play, you know, some reposts and that kind of thing. But man, I really love a good meme because people will sometimes say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you responded with a meme." It's like, well, okay, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. A meme has got to be worth at least 100,000, right? At least 10 times that, right?
Well, and here's something that a lot of people don't take into account about this. I mean, the establishment sure does. The universal availability of memes. I mean, you don't have to learn anything fancy. You don't need to learn how to work a new piece of technology. You don't need to put together a storyline. You don't need to learn how to draw. It's unbelievably accessible. And yeah, sure, most of them are lame. That's fine. We end up generating so many new ways of expressing thought.
Some of them are great.
Yeah.
Some of them are just and appropriate for the moment. They can be done instantaneously about any topic of any kind. You know, the most recent one that I've seen is, of course, the Bernie mittens, right? That thing was hot, man. That thing caught fire. I don't like any of them, right? But man, there was some creativity being shown off by some people, you know. And you're right. You don't really have to have any skills. You can just go to a website where the picture's already there. You just add the text that you want. Download and boom, you're good to go.
It's incredibly decentralized, and it's powerful.
Agreed. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning in. It is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. We are a live call-in radio talk show program, in case you didn't know. Again, the number is 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. In the studio tonight, it's
Beakless Mountaineer.
And I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. I want to tell you that AnyPay 2.0 is here, and crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com, or Dash Wallet, your experience should be smooth. But some wallets aren't yet ready for this impressive new technology. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0 and reach out to the wallet programmers and encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. And I had some dinner tonight, actually, and used crypto to pay, and the restaurant was using AnyPay. So
I do adore paying for things in cryptocurrency.
And it is super fast now. When a year and a half-ish ago, when I first got to New Hampshire, I was able to pay with crypto in several places, but, it took 30 seconds or something for the payment to go through. Well, that kind of a thing, right? I ran, and, part of it was the wallets hadn't yet been, there was a couple upgrades to the wallet. I was using a different wallet. Now I'm using Edge, and AnyPay and Edge work together flawlessly, by the way. But since then, several new updates have been done both by the wallet providers as well as AnyPay themselves. And now it is lightning quick. It's so quick that when I click, pay, when I slide the little deal that says, yes, pay this amount, as soon as I do that, the cash register, the tablet that the retail user is using, it gets a notification that it has been a successful payment before I get mine in my wallet.
Well, so here's the thing about that, though. In waiting for the 30 seconds or whatever for it to go through, I mean, what you're waiting for is a final confirmation.
Right.
Now, in the normal system of paying for things, a final confirmation happens weeks later.
Right. Yes.
So, I mean, you're waiting for a final confirmation. You have no need to wait for a final confirmation. You just need to know that it was sent, and it'll go through when it goes through.
Right.
I mean, just like when you're paying with U.S. dollars.
Right, or credit cards. Retailers have to do something called batching, or at least they used to. At the end of their shift or whenever they close out their registers, they have to do this batching. And that's when, all of the final, what you're saying, the notifications go through. So,
well, and that's not the final confirmation. That is the beginning of the final confirmation. So, I mean, we've been operating without having a final confirmation forever, because seriously, it takes weeks if you're lucky to get those things done, but it's all done behind the scenes, whereas this is done right before your very eyes. So some people are like, oh, I don't know, that transaction might not go through, which until recently wasn't even a problem at all. I mean, now we're having that as a problem with Bitcoin specifically, because it's been intentionally screwed up. So that they can charge exorbitant fees instead of using it as a currency system.
Yep.
All the more reason to get some Bitcoin Cash.
Indeed. And we could talk more about that, but first, let's go to Jerome calling from South Carolina. Jerome, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes. I just wanted to say that that woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they've been talking about in the news the last couple of days, saying all this crazy stuff.
No.
Threatening politicians. How did she ever get elected? It's just unbelievable how stupid the people that call themselves that vote for Republicans are. Because you got Democrats to vote for Republicans too, Hey, look, how stupid. That woman is so ignorant. How does she stay in all? I mean, when are they going to get rid of her?
I think you're half right.
Well, yeah, I mean, how stupid do people have to be to vote? Period. Whether it's for Democrats, Republicans, or, none of the, or all of the above, whatever it is. The system is corrupt, and there's no way to fix it other than getting rid of it.
Who makes it corrupt? You always, look,
okay, so,
the system is corrupt. Who makes it corrupt?
Okay, so they did
Who made it corrupt?
They did a statistical analysis between what people want and the policies that happen.
You're not going to answer me, are you? Just
who makes it corrupt? The fundamental nature of it is corrupt.
Who makes the system corrupt?
The system it started corrupt. It is more corrupt now. It will always be corrupt, because the idea that my buddy and I can say you are now part of our club and our club voted that this has to happen to you is always corrupt.
Yeah, the system itself is corruption. It's based on a corrupt principle, and that is the principle of taxation. The principle that says that because we say so, we have the ability to take a portion of your life's effort from you, and you don't have any choice. That is a corrupt principle, and that is what the system is based on.
Look, and the other thing I wanted to mention was, like, I am so sick of the damn rap music. Okay, every time I turn around, I hear this filthy music coming from people's mouth or from cars driving by me in the street. I was just sitting out where I live at a couple of days ago while I was walking somewhere, and a woman comes by, a black woman, with this filthy garbage. I've had it happen a couple of times. I even had a white guy drive by me one day with this filthy garbage rap music going. I said, how the hell can people spend money on crap like that? I mean, don't you have any respect for your culture and the language that they use? And they blare it for everybody to hear.
Well, they probably don't identify with what you think is their culture.
Yeah, and it is a counterculture, right? The whole rap music, whatever you want to call it, hip hop culture. It is a counterculture. It's a counterculture to the rest of society.
Did you see where Trump gave this rap guy Lil Wayne a pardon? He looks like he's half dead. He's used so much drugs, man. I'm saying you got money, you generational kind of money, because I heard he's pretty rich. I haven't looked up his net worth, but I'm assuming it's pretty large. And the guy looks like he's half dead, and women like him.
You know, Jerome, I'm impressed that you actually got through 2 other topics before you even mentioned Trump. That's pretty good for you.
That was.
Oh, he's an idiot, man. He's an idiot. Hey, and I dare him to try to even, run for president. Oh, please, man. I mean, all these people dying. I mean, I just saw a story on the news the other day on my phone. This guy went to the hospital a couple of times, and the guy ended up dying in the parking lot because they just said, here, take some ibuprofen or some pill and go on back home. And the man died right in front of his wife in the parking lot. And he was a black guy, by the way. And so that brought back memories of something that happened to me a couple of years ago. I got really sick where I was living at, okay? And I had to get in the taxi and go to the VA because I'm a veteran.
Yep, make it quick.
And they told me, well, if you get sick, come to us. And, man, they told me, hey, you got to wait a couple hours to see a doctor. And I was, almost passing out in the waiting room, And they wouldn't help me. And so I had to go to another hospital a couple of blocks away. Luckily, they said, we got to examine them.
Thanks for the call, Jerome. Have a good night. More Free Talk Live coming up.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. That's us. You're here. We are it. Our telephone number, if you'd like to join in the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And Peakless Mountaineer.
And we are indeed a live call-in talk show program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind. We're going to switch gears now that we're done talking about this article from Newsweek about a Florida man charged with election interference by memes.
Well, I did want to make one last note on that.
All right, go ahead.
So they are charging him for this because the election process is sacred. And make no mistake, if they can get away with this one, they will lower that bar and they will charge someone else for making memes for something a little bit less important, because they do not want you to have the power to communicate your ideas with other people.
There has been some legislation introduced recently. I don't know if it's gotten through and been approved and all that kind of thing, but it was introduced recently that would actually affect people who make memes, like making meming an illegal thing in certain circumstances. So I don't know if that is going to have any legs or carry. It wouldn't surprise me if it does, because you're right, memes are an incredibly potent form
and
of
decentralized.
Yes.
It's a decentralized form of power, because anytime that you can communicate, that is powerful. And this is easy to do. It's quick, and the fact that so many of them are funny. I mean, there's nothing that sticks in people's heads quite like humor.
And my pet peeve about memes is that I will often, as in frequently, not often, as in a little boy who has lost his parents, see a meme that I think is frickin' hilarious. And I will get many a good chuckle, even a belly laugh, a knee slap or two. Some of these memes are really good. And then there'll be some sort of grammar or punctuation mistake. It'll be the wrong there, or there. Right, there'll be a period, or it should be a comma, or the wrong word will be used, or it'll be misspelled, and it just, I don't know, man. The general grammar in me, right? And by general, I mean like the captain general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just I can't re-meme a meme with bad punctuation, man. I don't have it within me.
Then you should learn how to make a meme.
Well, I know how.
And then you can just remake that meme with proper punctuation.
But then that means I have to put in like a whole bunch of effort instead of just, resharing or retweeting or retweeting or whatever it is that I'm doing these days.
Well, you're going to have to consult your value system.
You have to insult my value system?
No, consult. You have to consult
your value system. Sucks. Why, thanks, man.
Say it with me now. No, you've got to consult your value system and be like, okay, is this meme important enough that I would remake it?
Or funny enough, I guess.
Important or funny, yeah. And if not, well, and I mean, you got to figure out your own system of values. No one can tell you what that is.
That's a fact, Jack.
And how much do you value good grammar? How much do you value that meme?
All right, so we're going to shift gears because, we have many things to talk about here tonight. Many things that we'd like to talk about. You brought this one in. I have read a bit on this story, not necessarily from this article. This is actually from Reuters, or Reuters, if you want to mispronounce it. Reuters. Exclusive. Proud Boys leader was prolific informer of law enforcement. Now, for our listeners out there who, might be indoctrinated by the mainstream media and or the government education system, the Proud Boys, at least the left likes to refer to these guys as a white supremacist group or a group of racists.
Far-right extremists.
Far-right extremists. And their leader, not white.
Pretty funny.
So that in and of itself. But Enrique Tarrio, I may or may not be mispronouncing that name. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys extremist group, has a past as an informer for federal and local law enforcement, repeatedly working undercover for investigators after he was arrested in 2012, according to a former prosecutor and a transcript of a 2014 federal court proceeding obtained by Reuters. In the Miami hearing, a federal prosecutor, a Federal Bureau of Investigation agent, and Tarrio's own lawyer described his undercover work and said he had helped authorities prosecute more than a dozen people in various cases involving drugs, gambling, and human smuggling. I first read that, thought it said human snuggling. They're giving
human snuggling, that's against the law.
Tarrio, in an interview with Reuters Tuesday, denied working undercover or cooperating in cases against others. I don't know any of this, he said when asked about the transcript. I don't recall any of this.
Did you work undercover for federal law enforcement? I do not recall.
Did you or did you not work undercover for federal law enforcement?
I do not recall.
He's got to wait for somebody to whisper in his ear first.
Oh.
I do not recall.
I forgot about that part.
Law enforcement officials and the court transcript contradict Tarrio's denial. In a statement to Reuters, the former federal prosecutor in Tarrio's case, Vanessa Singh Johannes, confirmed that, quote, he cooperated with the local and federal law enforcement to aid in the prosecution of those running other separate criminal enterprises, ranging from running marijuana grow houses in Miami to operating pharmaceutical fraud schemes, unquote. Tarrio, age 36, is a high-profile figure who organizes and leads the right-wing Proud Boys in their confrontations with those they believe to be Antifa, short for anti-fascism, an amorphous and often violent leftist movement. The Proud Boys were involved in the deadly insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Were they really?
I'm sure they were.
I mean, I'm sure like some people who self-identify as like a Proud Boy were there, but like involved seems to, imply that they had done some planning.
So does
and
deadly insurrection. I'm sorry, this was not an insurrection.
Yeah.
Was it deadly?
Sure, somebody died.
Sure, people died, but I mean, like mostly their own people just got trampled.
You know what's more deadly than what happened at the Capitol on January 6th?
Everything?
Like a whole bunch of rock concerts.
Yeah.
People have died and gotten trampled at rock concerts. I mean, to me, what happened at the Capitol
Shopping
was...
on Black Friday in a non-COVID world?
Right. Yes, definitely. Definitely that more deadly than what happened at the Capitol on January 6th.
But that wasn't in the Holy of Holies. That wasn't in our sacred institutions.
The records uncovered by Reuters are startling because they show that a leader of a far-right group now under intense scrutiny by law enforcement was previously an active collaborator with criminal investigators. Washington police arrested Tarrio in early January when he arrived in the city 2 days before the Capitol Hill riot. I can't believe they're calling it a riot.
Well, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, Biden even came out and said, it is an insult to call this a protest, which I have been calling it a protest since.
Is contest the opposite of protest?
But yeah, I brought this in to point out, like, this is actually the norm. It is extremely common to have either FBI agents themselves or their toadies, their lackeys, their henchmen running around organizing especially violent extremist behavior. So keep in mind that this is the game being played.
You mean like governments do?
Yes, exactly. This is the game that's being played on you. They are trying to divide us against each other. They're trying to make a violent left and a violent right that are at odds so they can, well, have both of their enemies destroyed and have all of the focus taken away from what they're doing.
Yeah, it certainly keeps the focus off of the largest inciter of violence the world has ever known, the most violent organization the world has ever known. That is the organization commonly referred to as government. 603-283-6160. We've got more coming up.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
A severe allergic reaction causes Florida to swell up to twice its normal size. And a Ford assembly line worker is thinking about asking out a cute welding robot from work. It's time for the weekly feature with over 14 subliminal and completely unapologetic cues to purchase Energizer batteries. This is the Onion Week in Review. Area man Brett Lucier told reporters Tuesday he was left winded after placing a particularly lengthy lunch order at a local Wendy's. A weary Lucier said he struggled to get through the 7-item order and even suffered a cramp while asking for the spicy chicken sandwich.
I thought I was just about done after I ordered that junior bacon cheeseburger, but I was able to get that Frosty in there too.
And in this week's op-ed pages, a local man talks about how he was always just one of those kids who was off by himself taking cats apart to see how they work. In your hands right now are the 24 AA Energizer lithium batteries you were subconsciously manipulated into purchasing. We make no apology. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. You've tuned into the right station. You've streamed the right stream. You've downloaded the right podcast. You've hit the correct file in the archives over at freetalklive.com to get this particular program right now. It is a live call-in talk radio program where you can take control of the airwaves by dialing 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the captain.
And Peakless Mountaineer.
And I wanted to tell you about Liberty Venue. I just got it out of the way. Liberty,
get it out of your system.
Liberty.menu. For years, libertarians of all stripes have wanted a directory of liberty-minded businesses. Well, we're helping build one over at Liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a tool for your community. At its core, it's a directory for events, businesses, and digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, and there's a bit of a social network so you can connect and share with others. Use of Liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. It's not for anybody else. So you can put your voluntarist ideas into action over at Liberty.menu and use code FTL to get a special badge. That's Liberty.menu. That's such a valuable resource for so many things. And, you know, our caller earlier had asked, what is our prediction of the future? Well, my prediction is this is the type of tool, Liberty.menu, that will become very important infrastructure in the future to a lot of folks. So. We are a live call-in radio talk show program, so we should probably talk to David in San Francisco. David, you are on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, how are you? I've argued with libertarians for years based upon the idea that money is supposed to reflect your reputation, and some thief can come along and steal your pile of money. And hypothetically, your reputation is transferred to them.
How?
And that doesn't make any sense. A con artist or a grifter
I think I follow.
Can.
I'm curious as how reputation becomes part of money. My understanding of money was that it's supposed to be a representative of the effort you put forth.
I think if correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what he's pointing out here is it's the good that you've done for others. So if you've made people happy by providing them
the quality of your work.
Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Then the quality of your work gives you more money. Therefore, it's your reputation.
Well, if someone steals your pile, they like the other day, wasn't there? I don't see. I haven't paid attention to the details on this whole. What was it? A game box or what was the stock that they went up to? $4 trillion?
GameStop, right? GME.
Yeah. I mean, if the value of all the corn in the whole world is $1 trillion, and somebody can artificially create $4 trillion in just speculation, that goes into a whole, you can ruin the lives of everybody on the planet by playing with numbers so high that nobody can keep up. And that the value of food, it becomes not cost effective to let anybody eat.
Yeah.
And it really happens that way. If you look at the history of Bangladesh, there was hyperinflation in the late 60s, early 70s.
Sure.
And the big money of the world said, hey, we better invest in high quality land. And so they bought all the farmland in Bangladesh and kicked all the farmers off their land. And they had to go try to survive in the city, and there was massive starvation because somebody was trying to hedge against hyperinflation.
Right.
So starvation, and the same thing happened in Biafra, and the same thing happened. That was, there have been hundreds and hundreds of examples in the last decade.
I see, David, money as a tool. Tools can be used for, like a hammer can be used to build a house, or it can be used to, crush my enemy's skull. Right. It's a tool that can be used for either good or evil. It's the person and the intent behind it. But you said that money was supposed to have a component or something along those lines of reputation. Now, I often talk to people about something I like to call social currency, right? That is your reputation amongst your community and your peers and that kind of a thing. And that is separate from money. So, most folks, at least in the libertarian circle, like to talk about when currency was backed by gold. So how does, some gold tokens contain my reputation somehow?
Well, I can give you a good gold example. I'm baby boom. Mm-hmm. When I was just coming into the work market, it took 20 hours at minimum wage to buy 1 ounce of gold. Now, the minimum wage is $7.25. The ounce of gold today, I think it was $18.85, and that would come in at, I think, was it a $94 minimum wage? So if the minimum wage isn't $94, Joe Biden is trying to offer $15, but that's a far sight shorter of 20 hours.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and do you know how many hours it takes? It takes you 255 hours.
I'm following your math,
not 20 hours
but
anymore.
where does reputation come into
hours.
it? Where does my reputation come into it?
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying about when they print up all this money, it degrades the value of the money and what you can buy with it. But you were talking about how it's your reputation and making better products, and I don't quite follow you there.
Well, I'm talking about speculators. You all know the story Wizard of Oz, right?
Yep.
And you know that's an allegory about the farmers who were being eaten alive by the Chicago Board of Trade. And they as working in the hot sun in Kansas, you'd finally get a crop in, and then all of a sudden the Board of Trade would crash the price on corn so they could steal your corn, and you would be left with less than the cost of production.
Right. Okay, so from a market manipulation perspective, yeah, I could see that because there are organizations who do that.
Years old,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So libertarians don't seem to catch the ethics of having a society where everybody is working in tandem and you got a good reputation, and con artists and thieves don't just steal everybody's reputation. And that's one of the reasons why people have hated the Federal Reserve, is because if they're a British bank and they secretly own some part of America, then are they able to capture the reputations of America and sap us? And they've sapped us just by minimum wage, where it's not 20 hours, it's 255 hours per ounce of gold.
Right.
So 255 hours, that's like 4 weeks, right? So, where do these money lovers get off telling me that they can pilch here and pilch there until everybody is sapped? And basically what's happening now with this epidemic is people are saying, we got to kill the seniors because their medical bills are too high.
I don't know what libertarians you're talking to, but I've never heard one come out in favor of the Federal Reserve's ability to print money. Not one.
Yeah, me neither.
Like,
well,
that
not
is
libertarians, but the concept that Bitcoin was hypothetically a way of breaking away from the con artists on Wall Street.
Yep.
I live close enough to Silicon Valley that there were a lot of these guys out here that wanted to invest in good product ideas, and nobody was smart enough on Wall Street to invest in them. So Bitcoin was created so that they would self-capitalize each other. And unfortunately, organized crime and drug runners and arms merchants and all sorts of people are starting to use Bitcoin and these other
just like they use every other currency.
I mean, still the most used currency for the most nefarious things is the U.S. dollar. It is still the most used currency by criminals and people of ill repute.
You know, the International Monetary Fund?
Oh, yeah. First world court system.
There's a great book. It was written in 1972. It was called The Making of the President, 1972. The guy did a whole series of them. He started in the 50s, and I guess he died in the 80s or something. Mm-hmm. And but the one for 1972 is when we went off the gold reserve. And it describes, you find that book and you look in the index under gold, and you get the whole story of how after World War II, the United States had the most honest reputation. And so we were allowed to have the basic money of the world. And so the British had to if the British wanted to go to France, they had to base it on the U.S. dollar.
Hey, David, thanks for the call tonight. We appreciate it. 603-283-6160. More coming up. This is Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another COVID mutation spreading. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Maryland has become the second state to confirm a case of the more contagious South African COVID-19 variant. Health officials say the case was found in a person living in the Baltimore metro area with no recent history of travel. The South African mutation was found earlier this week in 2 people living in South Carolina who also had not traveled recently. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says COVID-19 infection rates are beginning to decline in his state, and that 91% of the first doses of vaccine received have been administered. This as lawmakers continue to push for answers after reports showing that the Cuomo administration undercounted state nursing home COVID-19 deaths. New York Republican Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis.
On the federal level, Representative Scalise is the ranking member of the subcommittee that's been looking into this. We also have a Department of Justice investigation that's ongoing, which we hope will continue without interference from the Biden administration. And people want answers, and they want them now.
Cuomo has called the criticism a political attack. President Biden vowing to push through his nearly $2 trillion COVID relief package, even without the support of Republicans.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and President Biden both say they'd like Republican support for a coronavirus relief measure, but will not let GOP opposition prevent quick action.
I support passing COVID relief with support from Republicans if we can get it, but the COVID relief has to pass. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
The White House says there are no plans to break up parts of the $1.9 trillion proposal from the president. Democrats in Congress insist the Biden administration plan is necessary.
Fox's Jared Halpern raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is one of the components of the package opposed by Republicans. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office, 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
President Biden has already issued a long list of executive actions, and more are expected. Fox's Rachel Sutherland reports.
President Biden signed more than 36 orders and actions focusing on health care, racial equity, and climate change. GOP Senator Marco Rubio questions the president's promise of unity.
We now have a president who talks like a centrist, but is governing from the far left.
Next week, the president is expected to announce a new task force to reunite families separated at the border. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
President Biden also expected to relax some work visa requirements to allow more people to cross the southern border. Former acting ICE director Ronald Vitiello says some of the new Biden policies are dangerous.
You can't remove people. You can't arrest people who are in the country illegally. And there was no exception in this memo that went out on the 20th for criminal aliens. The only exceptions were people that were terrorists and aggravated felons, and they had to be convicted. So if you came into the country before November of 2020, immigration officers couldn't even approach you.
Vitiello on Fox's Cavuto Live. The Biden administration says these orders are meant to help recognize the contributions migrants have made to American society. The Army has determined what made a group of soldiers sick in Fort Bliss, Texas. Fox's Jack Callahan.
The 11 soldiers who took ill at Fort Bliss in Texas on Wednesday accidentally.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
As of today, the average cost of a pack of cigarettes has gone up to 2 hand jobs and a stick of beef jerky. For more, we go now to Onion News Network prison economics expert Hal Rogan.
The prison economy runs on cigarettes. They're involved in every economic transaction at some stage, from contract killings to naked woman picture acquisition.
Right.
That's why we've got shampoo at 6 batteries. We've got tattoos at 50 commissary stamps.
Now, for what it's really like out there in the market, let's check in with major cigarette trader Big Dap Ramirez. Big Dap, nice to see you again.
Thanks, Rick. Good to see you. What's happening, Hal?
How's it going, Big Dap?
Now, it's obviously a boom time for cigarettes. cigarettes right now.
I'm getting a lot of hand
But with
jobs.
prices this high, analysis shows you're going to be seeing a drop-off in real sales soon as consumers turn to smoking grass fajos.
Look, we've been through this before. The market teaches us not to panic. But if I learn anything in this game, it's that a wife or girlfriend will pass off a few decks in the boneyard. Supply will normalize, and we'll see cigarettes returning to a single hand job or less.
Big Dap, best of luck to you. We'll keep checking in on the story with Hal throughout the day.
Thanks, Rick.
Moving on to some happier news. In Atlanta today, 2 snitches were beaten to death.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
(603-283-6160). That's 603-283-6160. Write that number down. Program it into your phone. Set it by the nightstand. Maybe hire somebody to skywrite it in the sky for you. Whatever you like to do, whatever's going to help you remember. That is the telephone number for the Free Talk Live studio, where you can call, take control of the airwaves, and talk about whatever's on your mind 7 nights a week.
And even if you don't have anything to talk about now, you should get it down now for when you do.
Correct. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the captain.
And Peakless Mountaineer.
And we've been talking about a whole bunch of stuff, but we mentioned several things regarding the, we'll call it the Capitol, they're calling it riot, whatever that is, the events that happened on January 6th at the Capitol. And we've also talked about people being persecuted for ridiculous things like memes, for example. But this comes from NBC News. DHS issues terrorism advisory over domestic extremists emboldened by Capitol riot. The Department of Homeland Security said violent extremists were motivated by COVID-19 restrictions, the 2020 election results, and police use of force.
Oh no. We're extremists for wanting to go to work and not get beaten up.
And not, have to wear a mask and not have your business shut down by government forcibly.
Human faces. Extremist!
Yeah, the only one I'd argue with here is the 2020 election results. Now, perhaps people who were there were motivated by the election results. I would not be motivated by said results, but, whatever. Police use of force, sure. It's almost as if the government could relieve these problems by simply, no longer being a threat, no longer using their force as a force of violence to lift the restrictions, and then that would take away the motivation that they believe these people had.
And we've mentioned at least a few times while I've been here that it's incredibly easy to make a completely fail-safe system, a public ledger where you get the vote sorted out completely. It's incredibly easy to count. You still have the anonymity that you need as a voter. It's very easy to do all of these things, but they have no interest in a functional voting system.
No. What they prefer is the divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. Because the reason they prefer that is they want the torch people, if you will, we'll call them Democrats, to be at constant odds with the pitchfork people, we'll call them Republicans, so that never should the Republicans and Democrats unite and look at what the actual problem is, which is the system itself.
And history is rife with the examples of when they have cracked down and even assassinated people because they started reaching out to the other side. Like when Fred Hampton was coming into leadership of the Black Panthers, and he had reached out to the poor Southern whites that were also in Chicago, and they had been working together for so long that the poor Southern whites that had been using the rebel flag because it meant something different to people from the South actually abandoned it so that they could get along better with the Black Panthers. Now that was just enough for them to say, all right, well, this guy's got to be taken out.
According to, according to my gut feeling, I haven't read this article before tonight, and I haven't read it yet either. I'm about to read it for the first time. My gut feeling tells me that this article is going to say something like, hey, the government's coming after you, the average Joe, the citizens of the United States.
And it is. I mean, we've already been talking about how AOC is prominently, and some others less prominently, I guess.
You're referring to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
That's the one.
Okay.
And they've already been talking about how these extremists need to be deprogrammed because they don't agree with you.
Right.
So you literally want to brainwash the people who have a different political opinion, even though it's like half the country.
Yep. I've talked about her musings on that issue here on Free Talk Live on a previous episode. You can go to freetalklive.com, find our archives, and listen to any of our back episodes if you want to hear more about her specific thoughts on the matter. But this article says the Department of Homeland Security issued a national terrorism advisory warning Wednesday, citing a heightened threat environment across the U.S. weeks after the deadly January 6th riot at the Capitol. In an alert, DHS said Wednesday that a national terrorism advisory system bulletin would be in effect until April 30th, saying that the threat would persist in the weeks following the successful presidential inauguration. While DHS does not have any information related to a specific credible plot, do they ever? The department said it remained concerned over violent extremists who were motivated by a range of issues, including anger over COVID-19 restrictions, the 2020 election results, and police use of force.
We don't have any particular reason that we're worried about this, but we don't like it.
We don't like it, so we're going to issue an alert.
An alert.
We'd like you to be alert.
Well, and I'm sure it probably gives them some... It unties their hands in some weird little bureaucratic way of, okay, well, this alert has already been issued, so we have this ramped up for a response. Should you, say, continue to complain?
It's a big...
Or,
it's a big phallus. They're just waving their phallus around. Like, hey, warning everybody. We're warning you that don't do anything we don't like, even though we don't know that you're going to. But if you do, just know that we warned you.
If you keep having skepticism about the nature of our voting, well, we might be coming after you, you terrorist.
DHS added, these same drivers to violence will remain through early 2021, and some may be emboldened by the January 6, 2021 breach of the U.S. Capitol. The last bulletin was issued in January 2020, warning of the potential for cyber attacks by Iran. Wow. That's a bit of a jump. Even though domestic extremists openly talked about storming Washington on January 6th, DHS did not issue an alert in the run-up to the siege. That's so weird. It's so weird. So people talked about it basically openly on social media of various different types, including Facebook. Yes, that's right. I'm looking at you, Zuckerberg. And for whatever reason, the Department of Homeland Security did not issue an alert then. It's only after these events that they go, oh, we better issue an alert. Well, what does the alert mean? I don't understand. Why would the Department of Homeland Security issue an alert now against people that have, in my mind, something to gripe about? In my opinion.
And now of all times, okay, Trump has admitted that Biden is the president. So now you're worried. Now, when all of there's no more plan to trust for the Q people. There's no 4D chess for the Trumpers. We know that for sure. But now is when you're worried that things are going to get serious.
The story contained an actual link to the bulletin, and I'm just kind of cruising through that right now. How you can help. Here's their bullet points on how you can help. We ask the public to report suspicious activity and threats of violence, including online activity, to local law enforcement, FBI field offices, or their local fusion center. Is that where they play jazz?
So fusion centers are where they bring together all of the different horrible alphabet arms of the government. So if the CIA knows this, but they need to pass it on to the FBI, and the FBI knows this, but they need to pass it on to the NSA, and the NSA knows then it's the fusion centers where all of that comes together.
Is that where they make alphabet soup?
That is where they make alphabet soup.
It also says your choice can make a difference. Choose nonviolent ways to make your voice heard and support friends and family doing the same. Communities are strongest when they're not divided.
Nonviolent ways like memeing, because that goes so well.
Government, you are so funny. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by TJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to the show. It is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And Peakless Mountaineer.
And you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping site or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are found at forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021, and we'll see you at forkfest.party. So, we've been talking about this alert. An alert. What do these alerts even mean? The government sends an alert.
They didn't even give us a color to associate with.
They didn't. Usually they do. So we went to the alert, the bulletin itself, to read some from that. And, it's laughable at best. And we could talk a bit more about that in just a minute. But first, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We've got Robert calling from South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, the reason why the economic system hasn't collapsed is because we've managed to produce massive numbers of items, in other words, huge runs, and be able to sell products that would otherwise have used a lot of manpower and a lot of technology to develop those things and put them out on the market. For example,
such as,
the Ford Model T went into production in 1908, and that was the first time when we really were able to take advantage of that. And today, let's say the other extreme, what we've gone up to now is, let's say, the iPhone 12 produced in China by slave labor. The labor is cost is in the basement, and the technology that iPhone 12 contains is amazing, and that's the general idea what I wanted to express. Okay.
Well, but why would we be using the U.S. dollar for those instead of some other currency? I mean,
well, the problem, the thing is, it doesn't matter the currency. It's just the inefficiency of the system. The system is basically pretty inefficient, but
well, you started this with the reason. You started this with the reason that the dollar hasn't collapsed yet. And I mean, you can get an iPhone for yen. You can get an iPhone for euros.
You can get one for Bitcoin.
Indeed. So why would that keep this one from collapsing?
Well, the thing is, if you had to buy all the technology that let's say the iPhone has in it, and somebody had to produce one for you, it would cost us an amazing amount of money. And the same thing comes with a car. But actually, a car is relatively inexpensive to produce, and there's a relatively high profit margin. But the thing is, the major cost of it is actually in the production, not in the development.
That's incorrect.
Development is big.
The major cost of a vehicle is in the bureaucracy, actually. So if you take a $10,000 car and you remove every single piece of the red tape and paying for all of the permits, you end up with a $1,000 final price car.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to express.
So again, I don't see how that's keeping the U.S. dollar from collapsing.
Well,
now something like oil, I could see.
I was thinking about the labor costs and all of the other costs that, and the administration costs and all of the other things that go into things these days, and the cost of government and that kind of thing. Look at the cost of government, how amazingly high it is, and the inefficiencies involved. And that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, there's no economic There's no economic problem greater than the inefficiency of controlling people.
Yeah, thanks for the call tonight, David. We appreciate it. David? I'm sorry. Robert was the caller. Robert, thank you for the call. Why hasn't the system collapsed? Me, personally, I think it hasn't collapsed because the U.S. dollar, contrary to what some libertarians like to say, is still backed by something. It is backed by the full force and might of the United States government.
Well, I agree.
That is the military
Partly.
specifically.
I agree partly on that one. I don't think that would, on its own, would be enough.
Well, it apparently is.
Well, so, I mean, here in America, it is the might and force of the U.S. government, and especially under the IRS, that keeps us having to use dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't keep them in use throughout the world. And if they were only in use in the U.S.
It is currently the reserve currency. And
Indeed.
Why won't people change that?
I actually have a very specific theory on that one.
Okay, all right. I'm willing to learn.
Okay, so OPEC, the oil producing and exporting countries, it's a lovely little cartel.
Yep.
And they have about 40% of the confirmed oil reserves on the planet. And since the 70s, they have only been allowed to trade in U.S. dollars, no matter who's buying it from whom.
Correct.
And as long as that's true, then every country that is owed money by the U.S. is very happy with being owed U.S. dollars.
Right.
Now, if OPEC started accepting, say, yuan, then every country that is owed U.S. dollars would actually call in part of their debt so that they could get some debt or some stores of yuan to hedge their bets just in case OPEC switches entirely.
Okay, following so far.
Now, if that happened, so much economic activity would move in the direction of getting rid of U.S. dollars that it would absolutely crash the U.S. dollar.
Yes.
And once the U.S. dollar crashed, everything that's based on it would crash also. So it is the force and might of the U.S. military, specifically keeping the near monopoly, I mean effectively a monopoly, on oil in the Middle East most especially, but also Venezuela.
Okay, sure. I mean, we seem to be in agreement, just yours is a far more explanative
You're right about
version.
You're right about the stick, but there's also a carrot.
Yes.
And every country needs oil in order to continue existing. I mean, the food that you consume is thousands of calories of oil for every calorie of food that you consume, because of the herbicides, the fertilizers, all of the oil that goes into making food the modern way.
Indeed. 603-283-6160. When do you think the economic system, the U.S. dollar that is, will collapse? Will it be tomorrow? Will it be next Wednesday? Will it be 20 years from now? Will it be when your grandchildren are listening to episodes of this in a time capsule? We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. You know, what you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite. DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting this. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always leaves a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's been the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. This is Free Talk Live, the live Saturday night edition. We are on the air 7 nights a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can call and take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever you'd like. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And we will get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. Before we do, I wanted to just take a minute to say thank you to Farmer Garrick. Farmer Garrick is a silver level amplifier, and that means he contributes $5 to Free Talk Live. And he helps us get on more radio stations because he enjoys the content. He finds value in the program. He enjoys the hosts and hostesses and hosti. You can find out more over at amp.freetalklive.com. There's different levels. We only ask for $5 a month. You can give more if you want. There's different levels. There's a silver level and a gold level and a platinum level. There's some perks, if you do give more and that kind of a thing, some little treats for you. But if you do partake in Free Talk Live and you find value, please consider becoming an amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. And thank you again to Farmer Garrick. We appreciate your contribution to the show. And speaking of phones, we've got some callers. Let us go first to Bad Slave. Bad Slave, you are on Free Talk Live.
Howdy.
What's on your mind tonight?
The first thing is, getting back in all the way to the 90s, we had there was computer voting.
Okay.
I'm not sure what year that was. That what's the guy's name? Max, the triple amputee in Georgia. That was a senator, popular Democratic senator.
Okay. What about him?
And he was more than 10% up on the vote, going right into the election. And Georgia was the first state, and I'm not sure what year it was. Georgia was the first state that had computer voting, and statewide.
Strange that they should now be the center of this controversy.
Well, not strange at all. But whatever.
They've been pioneering.
They've been Georgia getting you to question the vote since 1990, whatever it was.
And so I just then Bush got elected in 2000, and then they're gonna I knew they were gonna reelect the idiot in 2004. And I said, no, I'm done.
So
I had been voting for third parties except for Nixon.
So did you just stop voting then, Bad Slave, or are you a non-voter now?
Well, I not only stopped voting, but I withdrew my registration at the town.
Nice.
And and basically, it was my notice of withdrawal of consent.
I didn't even know you could do that. Withdraw your registration?
I just called the town hall. I says, I want my name off of the registration list. And they says, well, just send us a letter. I asked them if I could do a fax, because it was actually the day before the election in 2004. And I said, well, if I could do a fax, that'd be great. And so I faxed it over, signed, and they immediately removed, and confirmed my removal. So
what year was that?
2004.
2004? So
yeah, November of 2004.
So congratulations on your 17th year of being a free man, Bad Slave. We appreciate the call. That is, something to celebrate in my mind. I know that I had a period of time in my life, struggling for the words here, but where I was a statist. I might have sounded like a constitutionalist, right? Because I would always point back at the piece of paper. But they said on the piece of paper. We got
this in writing, and this isn't
this is what is blah, 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 the piece of paper, right? Because I also grew up in a religious family. And, of course, their automatic knee-jerk reaction to everything is, but it said in the book. In the book, it says to do this in the book. And so, that automatic sort of reaction to everything is like, oh, we have this magical text that was written down on paper by men that says that hundreds of years later, the blah, 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 blah.
The sacral text of the United States of America states very clearly that, for example, I get to have a nuclear submarine.
I, personally, would love to have a nuclear submarine. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. Let's go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, you are live across the entire state of New Mexico again for the first time in a couple of years.
Woohoo!
You're in the Northwest on KENN. You're in the South on KINN, and you are back on KIVA in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Ken, Kin, and Kiva. Nice. Sounds like triplets.
Yeah. Have you had any other Albuquerque activity tonight?
You are the first.
What's going on in Albuquerque?
Oh, just corruption, just the usual, corruption, and side of corruption.
Tell us more, David.
You know what would be really cool is since to celebrate you being back on the big city in Albuquerque, New Mexico, it would be really cool if other people in Albuquerque would call in and report their corruption stories that they have experienced in New Mexico, because they are endless. And I'm sure there's some very entertaining tales out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That would be cool.
And, if you don't call tonight, tomorrow night, or whenever the next time you hear the program on KIVA, I would like to hear some Albuquerque corruption stories.
David,
I
could not agree more.
I would also like to hear these stories, because we know it occurs. We know it occurs every day, almost every minute of every day, in every city, in every town, in every county, in every state, in the entire United States, and then also in every, insert geopolitical division, quantity here for every other country in the United States or in the globe as well.
And it so rarely gets covered by anyone other than us.
With a special focus. My area of interest, people, is if you've been screwed over in the New Mexico courts, whether it's your public defender, your judge, your whatever, I'd like to hear about it, because those are rather entertaining to me.
Would you like to give out our phone number, David?
Oh man, I don't have the new one memory. I just hit. I look at these smartphone things. You just hit a button, right? I just look for Mark Edge's face on my contacts list and punch him right in the face, and it dials you guys.
All right, I'll give out the number. Thanks for the call tonight, David. 603-283-6160 is the number if you are in Albuquerque and would like to take David up on his offer and call in and tell us about political corruption that you've experienced, or even non-political. It could be any government agency of any type. And even if you're not in Albuquerque, anywhere in New Mexico, anywhere in the United States too, if you want to call and share your story of how you got screwed by the government, well, we're here to listen.
And a quick shout out to all of our amplifiers for getting us through all of New Mexico again.
Indeed, that is a feat that we have struggled to achieve, but now we have. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?" Email 101. If it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, "Did you get my email?" or emailing to say, "I left you a voicemail." If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
Is it ever appropriate to use violence to oppose the state? I can't say I would blame somebody for wanting to meet the SS at the front door with the clubs and the guns or whatever they could to defend their family. I wouldn't blame them.
Gandhi went to jail. What if he had met the English at the door with shotguns instead of going to jail? I don't want to talk about this anymore because, it's just madness. I don't need to be playing these scenarios out where what am I going to do if this happens or what am I going to do if that happens?
It's not a good mindset.
I'm going to get the chainsaw out and cut a couple of trees across the driveway and I'm going to sit out there with a 50-cal bullet and I'm going to pick them off.
It'll drive you crazy.
Nuts. I mean, you're going to die from high blood pressure and a lot of shiny guns. I'm a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. Coppers.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Wolverines! Brrr.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Yeah. We are here. Ooh, go. Whoa. Those are all my Hetfieldisms.
Nice.
James Hetfield of Metallica. Yeah. Thank you for calling. Free Talk Live. He gets that from James Brown, too. Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the James Hetfield edition. Final segment. I'd give you the number, but if you don't have it by now, you're probably not going to get on the air tonight. So we will give it anyway. 603-283-6160 for future reference, should you want to call in any of the 7 nights a week that we are on for 3 hours of live call-in talk radio programming from 7 to 10 Eastern. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And Peakless Mountaineer.
We've been talking about all sorts of fun things. And we have calls holding, so let's go right away to your calls and thoughts. We have Jonathan calling from New Hampshire. Jonathan, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how's it going? How you guys been?
Good. What's on your mind?
Not much. Well, I think this is a big deal, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but when you guys know about when Nancy Pelosi went and tried to stop the guy from being appointed to the NSA, the security guy that Trump appointed last hour or spoke up for or whatever.
It rings a bell.
I hadn't heard about it, but it sounds like Pelosi to me.
He was, it was like right before he was going to be out of office, he brought a guy in to the council of the NSA, and Nancy Pelosi wrote a letter to the Secretary of Defense and the NSA.
Okay.
Both the letters are online, trying to stop it, saying that Trump wasn't trustworthy and that the move was sketchy.
Yeah,
are you guys familiar with that?
I hadn't heard about it. I honestly wish that Trump had publicly come out in favor of oxygen, just to put her in the position of either agreeing with him or being anti-oxygen.
I mean, to me, it seems like that would be like treason, going and trying to undermine the president, because he's still the president.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
If you want to talk about Nancy Pelosi's involvement in treason, I mean, she was involved in a deep state coup already while he was president, and they're now trying to unseat him for things that he didn't do, even though he doesn't have that seat. But I mean, if you want to talk about treason, I mean, okay, so I'd like to find out who all was involved in directly selling weapons to Al Qaeda in Syria. Let's try those ones for treason.
So the definition of treason is the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. Now, in order for a person to have a country, they must swear duty in exchange for allegiance, right? That is protection, right? So if I have a country, the country has said, I will protect you from, invaders or something, right? Bad things. And you, in return, will say that you are loyal to us. Well, the United States government itself has said that police, military have no duty to protect you at all. Therefore, I don't have a country. So it would be impossible in that scenario for anybody to commit treason.
Huh. So they kind of protect themselves.
Yeah.
So they could just go on attacking the president, trying to impeach him over and over again, defaming his character, saying all kinds of stuff about him, and just basically trying over and over again the whole time he's in office, undermining him, going behind his back, trying to tell the NSA, you can't hire this guy, even though the president just said to.
Yeah,
and that's okay. They can do that.
Well, I mean, as far as undermining goes, I mean, like one of the most important things that he could have done, and probably would have done, and what he got elected. One of the things he got elected for, he was going to make peace with Russia, like a nice, long-lasting peace with, I don't know, the other major nuclear power that's nearby. But they undermined that by saying, he's a Putin puppet the whole time. So any move to make peace with Russia was obviously off the table.
Yeah, I mean, the government can do basically whatever it wants. Now, is there some, arm wrestling between, the Republicans and the Democrats and that kind of thing for who gets more power? Yes, there is. It's a bit of a soap opera. Every now and again, one of the two sides will throw out that word treason. But to me, that's a meaningless term because there are so many more things that government does that's not okay, like bombing brown people, for example, which still goes on. That nobody's addressing. So for somebody to be concerned, and I don't want to, belittle your call, but for somebody to be concerned about whether or not, something that somebody did is treasonous or not, I think is missing the point, at least the point we try to provide here on Free Talk Live.
It is worth mentioning, though, that she's part of the legislative branch. They should stay in their lane. Now, in our state, we have the executive branch staying out of its lane. So our governor, who's the executive, specifically stepped in and said this law that governs the vaccination records, I'm going to strip out the part that makes it optional. Now, that's an example of him not staying in his lane, not respecting the separation of powers that we were taught about in social studies. And yeah, it'd be nice if she respected the separation of powers that we were taught in social studies. Yeah. But, I mean...
It'd be nice, and you probably have a point. And, Jonathan, it is probably, something that you could bring up in, I don't know, a civics class and have some, discussion about. But it's really nothing's going to happen. The impeachment trial is going to go and it'll fade away into oblivion like they all do.
Yeah, I mean, Pelosi is untouchable. I mean, there was a movement in the Democratic Party. Some of their more progressive members were saying, hey, other progressives, you should withhold your vote for her as Speaker of the House until she agrees to bring Medicare for all as at least to a floor vote. And if only a handful of them had done so, she wouldn't be Speaker of the House. But no one was willing to even mention that they might possibly extract something for their vote.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's just for that tiny little feather in the cap there. I mean, she's untouchable.
Any other thoughts?
They did send her a letter in return, and that basically said, we don't answer to you.
Oh, nice. Wow. So someone paid attention during social studies. That's
the
nice.
director of the NSA, I think it was.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because he's
She
right. I
wanted
mean,
a
he's
copy of their
factually
hiring
correct.
process.
I'm sorry, what?
She said, I want to know how this guy was hired. I want to see everything that has to do with it. Now, this guy, she said he had just gotten out of college, and there was other guys that were way more qualified, and da-da-da-da. And, it seems like he's just, Trump is just putting him there so he can keep an ear to the ground, and we don't trust him, type of thing.
Okay.
And she was like, she wanted to be able to prove that it was corrupt. The reason he was hired, that they had no cause, and they said, he was qualified. We hired him, and it's not your business.
Yeah, that's called a failed power grab. So frequently the power grabs are very effective. So like what they've done with executive orders is way beyond the scope of executive orders because it was a successful power grab. Now what she tried to do here, because there are things where he has to get approval for making certain appointments, this isn't one of them. So what she was trying to do is expand her power to include having to approve this particular appointment.
Right, and that's why I think she was out of balance for sure.
It's almost astonishing that anyone denied her.
Jonathan, what do you think should happen in this particular instance? What would be the right thing to do?
Just like in all the instances of the Democrats attacking the Republicans throughout, the Republicans need to go in attack mode instead of defense mode. They need to find every little thing and attack instead of always being ducking corners and trying to, defend themselves. It seems like they're always, trying to fight back.
Yeah, they're always back on their heels, waiting for the next attack. And yeah, I think that's actually by design, though. Because, I mean, both of them really want the same ultimate thing. It's just that one of them is saying, no, we need to slow down, while not actually wanting to slow down. So it looks like you have a choice. It's the appearance of a false choice.
Yeah, to me, it's like the wrestling, right? The WWE, formerly WWF, like both the bad guys and the good guys are really on the same team. They're just giving something to entertain you with, something to distract you from what's really going on, which is, of course, control of you, control of your family, control of your money, control of your choices. We are out of time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're on 7 nights a week, 7 to 10 Eastern, 603-283-6160. Thanks. Peace.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to